listening to 89.9 FM, Mothers War on Violence. I'm your host and founder of Mothers War on Violence Ministries, a 501c3 organization in Peoria, Illinois. And I'd like to start by saying to my producer, Tim Shelley, who's going to join us on this very special podcast for celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Mothers War on Violence.
Yes, 1 year already.
I can't believe it. So, and anyway, I like to share Mothers War on Violence, our vision and our mission, which I don't think I've ever done on our podcast. But anyway, we'll start with our vision. We want to build up survivors of violence, one person at a time, to re-enter the world to help others survive and to stop violence. And our mission is actually a Bible verse, Ephesians the 6th chapter and the 12th verse. For our weapons are not carnal, but are mighty through God by the pulling down of strongholds. And with our podcasts, we have tried to pull down these strongholds that happen in people's life that start because of violence, that continue to run rapidly wild in our community, and bring some solutions and bring some professional people into our podcast to share our platform. So, and with that being said, we want to thank all of our partners, starting off with WCBU. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our mission and our vision. Want to thank all the podcasters who are listening, our listening audience, and we'd like to thank all our podcast people who came, our agencies who came and participated with us. Natasha Allen, who specializes in mental health, OSF Strive, the Peoria Police Department, also the Center for Prevention of Abuse, of course, the John Buckley Memorial Garden with the Peoria Park District, and there's so many others, and the families, the mothers who have come on the show and have shared their personal, very private stories about their unsolved murders, and of course the Who Killed Me campaign, and we also have the ones who came on to talk about the youth, and Robbie Chris and all those other people. Both Katie's from the health department, and the Katie from mental health and telecare. And we have had Leslie McKnight, we've had Yvonne Fleming, we've had all the community people just come and join us on our podcast, Tim. And it's been an exciting time for us, and I've heard about some healing stories that have happened as it results to our podcast. And our Facebook page we have over 100 and something followers right now. And so what was the best podcast you think?
Well, I'm going to pull up numbers, and I did not pull these numbers myself. These are from Cameron Cutinello, who's our digital wizard out in the newsroom. She said from November of last year to the end of October this year, we've had 45,379 downloads of podcast episodes. And the most popular one was actually the conversation with Natasha Allen from December of 2022.
That was one of our very first ones.
And she was actually just a repeat guest as well.
Yes. Yes, she was here recently. That is so funny. And let's see here. And then we also had Ward Muhammad, and we had uh, Christy Hubbard with the Blood Clot Association that she has in the memory of her son, and how Faith, and we have Busey Bank who joined us. We had, let's see here, we have Jason Shim, who talks about the guns.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very interesting conversation for me. That was one of my very interesting conversations, because it was almost like a dream. I've always wanted to ask people who actually carry guns and who, use them as weapons and go hunting and stuff, what is their point of view about all this killing in, with human being and,
Yeah.
around the streets that we hear about. And of course, we know there's war and stuff like that. So there's the military people. So he kind of fits in those categories,
Yeah.
as well as the chief of police, Chief Eric S. Chavarez, who shared some of his experiences of being a chief in the city,
Mm-hmm.
which was quite interesting to hear as well. What was your favorite one?
Oh gosh, that's hard to say. I mean, there's been a lot of good ones. I remember the one with the East Bluff Community Center.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Mhm.
I also
Mhm.
remember the one you were talking about with OSF Strive. I remember that one
Yes.
as well.
Yes, and also there's so many favorite ones. I really can't tell you which is my favorite. We have Hetty Elliott with the GED program, which she's had some success stories. I mean, last month in August, I think that I've seen that she's had quite a few people to get their GEDs. Like
Mm-hmm.
there was kind of like a summer freeze or something, and then all of a sudden, bam, 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 everybody's getting their GED. And we know that education is directly linked to violence as well. And then we had the Purpose Through Pain event that we had, and we had Worth Muhammad, and he is an extraordinary rapper who touched on music and how it affects our kids and violence today. And so, so if you haven't heard all the podcasts that we're talking about, you need to go check them out. And then we also had one of uh, the episode with the Illinois Cooperative Extension Service,
Mm-hmm.
and where she talked about food and how we can prepare. And actually, things have gone quite up since she was here with us, and that was in May.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there are so many great stories. And then how to be an active father with an African American man.
Johnny Jordan.
That's right.
Yep. Who's
Yep.
I forget he's Selfie Studio as well.
Yeah, he's the selfie studio, and they kind of are not at the Northwoods Mall, so they kind of travel around. But I thought that was interesting to hear how involved he was in his kid's life, because sometimes statistics say something different about, I mean, I suppose about African American men, but I guess we can't stereotype. But some of these statistics also involving the black man has a lot to do with, their parenting styles. And not all of them seem to have the same kind of parenting styles that lead to crime. And his was really quite well. He was involved with football. He's involved with after-school programs and homework and all those great things, and helping his wife. So I just thought that was amazing. And again, like we said, Katie Indress of the Peoria Public Health Department, who talked about cure violence and how she thinks it can work in Peoria. Katie Jones on telehealth. And Carrie Jones with the East Bluff Community Center, which I love Carrie. She is such an amazing person. She is gone from the East Bluff Community Center right now, but she's working with children. So no matter where she's at, she's still amazing. These podcasts are awesome tribute to anybody who want to get some help and survive. And I love the Safe from the Start program with the Center for Prevention of Abuse. And then last but not least, we have Dr. Francesca's Armor. And her story was just amazing. We could just go on and on and on about African American health. And then to paint the picture beautiful, even more, to talk about May Gillian Wright and how art is so therapeutic, and what they're doing in Peoria as far as art and stuff like that. And don't forget about drugs and alcohol recovery that we had with Chris Hollins-Warner and Angel Morales about addiction and recovery, and Yolanda Riley about the foster care system. Some of those topics were pretty kind of rough for me, there, because I've experienced some myself. However, we know that our listening audience, they kind of need a variety of different topics.
That was one thing I was going to ask you about is how do you choose the topics? How do you decide what people you want to have come in and talk?
Well, it's kind of interesting. Well, I suppose I kind of start with myself, and sometimes I pull from what I already have in the haystack and what I've already experienced, being a person who've experienced different types of violences in my life. And from that point, I just kind of draw from there. There's I love the National Youth Advocate program that they did, that talk as well. And then don't forget about the one guy we had that came in, Mr. Roosevelt Miles, who came in and talked about, being exonerated and falsely accused. Those types of stories are, very, very rare to come by, especially around here, right? So, and I love Busey Bank talking about money. Oh my goodness. How in the world do we, I don't know, still talk about money right now when money is tight?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing, though, is how far can you stretch a dollar, though, right?
Right, it was about that, and it also touched about how, a lot of times when you talk about violence, people are always fighting over money, whether it be the immediate family, or it's somebody on the street trying to rob you, that somebody's there's all kind of things that are happening. And then the one I did for myself, the importance of taking care of yourself. Now that is the first time I did anything like that, and I thought that was really good. And I still think I need more help with taking care of myself. I think I can learn a lot from my own self. Just listen. Sometimes I just listen to the podcast over and over myself, and it's just like, just to hear others' feedback and to listen to myself. So we've had an awesome year with WCBU, and all the different speakers that we've had. So which one was the best one, or which one had the most listened to? You said was Natasha Allen's, right? And then what was that number again? The first one?
Well, the number of total downloads, it's over 45,000. So
wow.
you think I mean, thousands of people have heard at least one of these interviews, and probably a lot of them. So think of how many people are being touched by this personally. It's thousands.
Well, thank you, Tim Shelley, because I could not have done it without you being the producer for our show. And all our listening audience, I'm sure that they just enjoy it. And then how about grief and the holidays?
Mm-hmm.
So what do we average on a monthly basis, maybe,
Well,
or
we've
listening
got,
audience?
I'm going to pull that up. So about 3,800, just about.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
3,800. Wow, I can't believe we did it. Started off to just be a joke. You remember that, Tim? We were in the selfie studio
Mm-hmm.
for the opening of Mother's War on Violence, and that was just 2022 as well.
It was, gosh. It was only a year ago. A year and some change.
Yeah. And it was just something we were passionate about, and we'll just make it a joke about now.
Well.
I'm passionate about the non-for-profit I'm at,
Mhm.
but then to have the podcast is just amazing how many lives that we're touching, how many lives that we're pulling down strongholds, and how many lives that are changing. And you can also get a T-shirt from the Cheap Tea T-shirt over in Campus Town to support Mother's War on Violence here in Peoria, Illinois. We're getting ready for our coalition for different agencies to come together. We have that quarterly. So I've been quite busy this year,
Mhm.
Tim. So December the 12th at the Wraparound Center at the behind Treewind School at 1:30 p.m. We will be getting together with some agencies that directly deal with stopping the violence. And so if you have an agency and if you're one of our participating partners in our podcast, which we're so happy about, I mean, I think if I count them, I know we have more than a dozen new partners that we created just around the podcast. So, yeah. And so how about, I wonder if our listening audience have any suggestions about what they'd like to hear, what we could talk about.
Honestly, I think that would be something really interesting, just if we got a little bit of feedback on or even just what people enjoy about it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, what do people like? What are they getting out of this?
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm glad you mentioned the event coming up on December 12th, because I think it is important to mention and remind people that this is not just a podcast, right? This is an entire organization that does other things.
It does,
Yeah.
right. And then our playing cards has been a success, so we birthed all of that out this year.
Took a field trip to the museum for that one.
Oh, yeah, that was really nice. And I thank them for the partnership, John Morris and Mr. Congerville and all of them, those good people down at the Peoria Riverfront Museum. We could go on about the many partners that we've built in just a year. But on our Facebook page, if you would like to leave a comment or if you would like to have a suggestion for any show, we are open to any suggestions and any feedback. If you would like, you can put it on our Facebook page, Mother's War on Violence on Facebook. And then we're also, WCBU and Mother's War on Violence are right in the middle of the Giving Tuesday, right?
We are.
And so if you would like to make a contribution to WCBU and if you'd like to sponsor our show or anything like that, we appreciate it. You can contact WCBU. You want to give that information, Tim?
Well, sure, WCBU.org. And I would also say, if you happen to hear this after Giving Tuesday, the need is still there, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Ongoing.
Yeah.
So, and the same is for Mother's War on Violence. We're on Facebook page. The Giving Tuesday thing is on Facebook, and you can feel free to give a donation. And even afterwards, if you hear this, we could always use a donation, as we are a new 501c3, only been in existence for 1 year, and we've done so much already. Now our last thing before the year goes out is we're going to finish the reward cards with our organization, and working with our local law enforcement and Crime Stoppers and Tip 411. Oh my goodness, where's the year gone?
Yeah. So reward card, can you talk a little bit more about that?
The reward cards are they're not really cards. They're more like posters, and they're for the supporting the families of unsolved murders and that. That was an interesting project with the playing cards, because I actually had 2 other mothers who had solved cases join me in the deck that we kind of had to double up on, and share their pictures. And so and it's all to help the unsolved murder families, to support them with their cases. And of course, everybody seems to know things and talk in the streets, but when you want somebody to come forward, these reward posters will be kind of like it will help. It'll be a support to the cards, a different support of the flyers, kind of like. So, and it'll have different what district this happened in. What district this one, kind of holding some of our constituents accountable. Not for the crime, but like, this is in your district, so what are we going to do, type thing.
And honestly, you just keep the awareness up, too, because the news cycle's short-lived, right? But, I mean,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's so true, Tim. And again, thank you for listening to WCBU, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.